All right, good morning, everybody. It's 11:31. We'll go ahead and get started with the pre-commission agenda. No president's report for me today. Is there general housekeeping items or discussion of the agenda from the commission? Commissioner Nielsen.
Justin, I noticed with the master street map amendment later on that and I don't need to answer right now, but I thought it was interesting that none of the typologies seem to have been selected unless I missed something. Is that correct? I was looking for it. I went through everything. There was a map with land use, but no. So at some point that will have to be identified. I would hope it would be recommended by the city that we would review, but I don't know if we've had that conversation.
Madam President,
Yeah.
Commissioner, today's presentation will be by the city.
Yeah.
Just letting us know of their request.
Okay.
There will be a follow-up item that has that identified in an amendment to the plan.
Okay, thank you. That's what I thought would happen. Okay.
Any other agenda comments from the commission? All right, seeing none, over to Director Head for the director's report.
Thank you. And Madam President, if we can ask that item 3 on the consent agenda be remanded back to staff. We're still working with the vendor on that one. All right, commissioners, it's a pleasure always to visit with you and to continue to do the work here at the Highway District. The team continues to work incredibly hard, and so we'll share with you a few of the things that the team's working on. We do want to say thank you to our procurement team. It is National Procurement Month. Everyone get excited, right? I don't know how you celebrate that officially, but we're excited to join with agencies across Idaho and the nation and ultimately globally to recognize the efforts of those who procure things. Things don't just happen. It takes someone who manages those contracts, ensures transparency, ensures it's done according to the law. And we have a great team who's very committed, manages a lot of contracts, and ensures that we always accomplish things in the right way and in accordance with the law. Steve really appreciates this team a lot, we'll say. Excellent. So yesterday we had the opportunity to enjoy our all-staff meeting, our quarterly all-staff meeting. Always a pleasure to bring the team together. You see there, the team has requested that I not be the only one who talks at these all-staff meetings. And so we've been rotating through, and the whole executive team is getting the opportunity to participate there. And I think it's really great for the team to be able to see and to learn and to hear from the full team and all the leadership team. Thank you to Commissioner Goldthorpe and McKinney for joining us yesterday. We were able to cover topics such as situational awareness for safety, how we handle public records, just some training and reminders on that, facilities update and letting people know where we are and progressing along there, as well as recognizing our team members who have gone above and beyond with our quarterly build awards is what we call them. So it was a great opportunity to gather together. It's fun to see the full team and to celebrate together the great work that's done. Today we have the opportunity to share with you a below the hard hat. This week is Rachel Bjornstad, our Senior Public Information Officer.
My name is Rachel Bjornstad. I'm the Senior Public Information Officer for the Ada County Highway District. I've been here for just about 4.5 years. So in essence, my job as Public Information Officer is to make sure that the public has the best, most accurate information about the Ada County Highway District and all of the work that we do. So I actually went to college for broadcast journalism, and I worked in local news for 6 years, mostly behind the scenes. A big part of my job is working with members of the media. So that can be anywhere from a reporter reaching out to ask a question, to someone wanting an in-depth interview with someone at the district. As a public information officer, I do work hard to build relationships with members of the local media so that they know that they can come to me and that I'll be transparent and get them the information that they need so that in turn they can provide that information with the public. Part of my job is also working with other agencies. An example of that is the Highway 16 project, which is an ITD project, but it involves a lot of agencies. It involves ACHD, the City of Meridian, as well as several agencies in Canyon County. So I'm working closely with those other agencies to communicate what road work is happening and when. I'm really focused on making sure that members of the public know what road work is being done and when so that they can plan. Whether it's an ACHD project or a utility project that involves closing a road or working in ACHD right of way, my focus is making sure that the public knows what's happening ahead of time so that they can plan accordingly. One thing I really like about my job is how much I get to learn. Even after being in this position for a few years, I really learn a lot about all of the things that ACHD does that I never really thought about before I started working here. And then getting to, in turn, tell people about all the cool things that we do and all of the ways that the agency helps the public. So I think one of the biggest challenges that people may not think of is how much coordination is involved to make sure that the messaging going out is consistent and easy to understand. You know, when I worked in media, I did work with public information officers and people in my current role, and I really just assumed that the public information officer knew everything. I didn't really think about how they went about getting the information. Even a question that seems simple, sometimes I'll be going to multiple departments, just asking questions, trying to get clarification, breaking down the information in a way that the public can understand it. And that can sometimes take some time, but it's really important to ensure that what we're putting out is not only accurate, but understandable. So outside of work, I have a 4-year-old, and sometimes she and my husband get volunteered to be in ACHD videos. I love to spend time with my family. We spend a lot of time outdoors, hiking, biking, playing at the park.
Commissioners, we really do believe we have the best people, and I'm grateful for the team always making sure that the public understands that too, and that we have incredible individuals in all different areas. And we do more than just put rocks on streets, right? There's a lot more that we do here at the Highway District. We completed this last week. We've been letting you know that this was coming. We had a summit with our a variety of utility companies, traffic control companies, and utility contractors who came in to learn a little bit more about the new regulations regarding the audible work zones, as well as our new fee structure. There was really good conversation. We had a full house of individuals. We focused on that coordination and safety. Most of the time was focused on the new fees and not necessarily on the traffic control policy. I think that's a little bit to be expected, but it was a good conversation nonetheless. We were able to kick off this week the Star Road design. So this is Star Road between Highway 44 and 2026. Had a full kickoff meeting. City of Star was there. You see the mayor there. West Data School District, Idaho Transportation Department, and our project consultants and ACHD team members. Really making sure that we are focused on coordination and partnership through the whole process. As of the 1st of this month, our new impact fee schedule has been implemented. That picture there is actually our recently completed, almost completed Lake Hazel and Eagle intersection. This is where we had to raise that. That is an impact fee project, one of the largest we've ever completed, and we're excited to, we've worked hard with our partners so that we can now implement that new fee structure that you have adopted for our impact fees. We continue to make great progress with regards to our preparing for next year's chip seal season as we go in that first year to make sure that the roads are fully sealed. We are 80% complete of that. We're making great progress, well ahead of schedule. They hate when we say that because they think we're going to jinx them, and weather's going to come in or something's going to happen that'll slow them down, but they continue to just take advantage of all opportunities. Not only are they sealing cracks, they're going in and doing utility repairs, fixing soft spots, trimming trees. They're making great progress to prepare so that we can move expeditiously next year. One of the things we also shared with the team during our all staff yesterday was the deployment of our new HRIS system, our Human Resource Information System software. I'm sharing this with you because this will also give you access really through an app, through different ways that you can control and manage your benefits, your information, your beneficiaries, all of those types of things that are, you typically go to HR. We still will obviously have a wonderful HR team who is available and will help through all those things, but it gives you access and control over your own information. And so this is a thank you to the commission for supporting this implementation. It really moves us into the 21st century. And being able to manage. And as our team continues to grow, it's important to have that resource available for them, and also kind of helps manage what we need in terms of our human resources department. Just because I know you're excited about this too, Pothole Days is coming, so get the word out. We are filling a humongous amount of potholes all the time. Our team has really changed how they approach this, and they're being more and more efficient. But we do have this targeted day as we kind of wrap up winter and bring that to an end. Usually there are some potholes that have shown up over the freeze-thaw cycles of the winter, and we have a targeted effort. Ultimately, the team's been doing a great job all winter time, so we'll see how this year's will be affected by that. But that week is coming, and we do that kind of targeted outreach, ask people to let us know what they see so we can get out there and make sure those are all filled. Today, on your agenda is adoption of the geotechnical hazards policy. We're excited to be able to implement that, and thank you for your consideration of that today, and look forward to that discussion. We have some other conversations that are up and coming, but lots still to come. Also would note for you that the next month we have where our commission meetings are. That meeting on the 18th will be probably a light meeting. With it being spring break, we know that we want to make sure that we're only managing just what needs to be covered that week, as well as that pothole day is coming. So with that, commissioners, I will stand for any questions.
Director, any questions? Looks like we don't have any questions today.
All right.
Thanks very much for the report.
Thank you.
With that, we'll be at ease until noon. All right, good afternoon, everybody. It's 12 o'clock. I will go ahead and call the commission meeting to order. Thanks to everybody joining us in person and online, and please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, our first item is to adopt the agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion, and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a commissioner or citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda. All consent agenda items are a commission action item unless noted. We do have a request to remand item number 3 on the consent agenda back to staff. Do we have a motion?
Madam President,
Commissioner McKinney.
I move that we remand item number 3 on the consent agenda to staff and approve the remainder of the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, that moves us to our regular agenda. First up, we've got the Rhodes Scholars Masters and Leadership presentation by LTAC, Cheney Rhodes, I believe. Welcome.
Thank you, President Gold and Commission. It's good to see you guys again. We're starting off our spring. We've actually got a bunch of your employees that are training today, the roadway materials. So again, thank you for always doing that. We have a milestone today. Last time I was here, I talked to you guys about the leadership program. I feel like I've talked about it for years. It hasn't been that long, but you guys have actually helped us with ACHD's first and the state's first LTAC Leadership Award today. So I'm very excited about that for you guys letting your employees participate in that. So you guys are familiar with the 80 hours of Road Scholar 1, 80 hours of Road Scholar or Roadmaster, and then the electives that allow your leaders to pick the classes for them that fit your guys' needs. The one thing that I do want to point out, the Roadmaster, the curriculum has changed a little bit. For years, we did the speed studies portion of the class. And as taken over as the T2 director, one of the things that I noticed is most of your employees that attend our training aren't doing the speed studies. And so it's a 2-day course. Most of your in-house engineers are the ones that are taking care of your speed studies. And I would hear that from your employees going, we're never going to use this. Excited to learn it, but never going to use it. And from my past career, I was like, we need them to use the training. And so I went to our advisory board, asked them to approve the change, keep the speed studies course as an elective, and move the traffic control supervisor as a requirement for the Roadmaster. That way they have the temporary traffic control technician and then a more advanced temporary traffic control supervisor. And that's what 90% of your guys' employees use here. So that starts this spring. I think you'll see some positive reinforcement on that. One of the other things real quick before we start giving names out, as I'd mentioned, we were doing the safety kit awards. We started doing that last year. We went through the fall, 3 kits a month for every agency that attended our training. I was given approval to do it again this spring. So what'll happen at the end of the month is I'll draw 3 agencies. With that, the 3 agencies will win the safety kits. And it's enough for crew to close a 4-way intersection down. So it's all of your roll-ups, all of your signs, 30 cones, 15 vests, everything that they need to be able to control that intersection. It's about a $6,000 package. So you guys send a lot of people. Hopefully I'm here giving you guys an award for a safety kit on top of that. So if there's no questions, we'll go ahead and start giving awards away.
Commissioner Goldthorpe.
Just a comment. I feel so bad about just making the speed limit and speed studies an elective. As you probably know, I had to take that class.
Yes, sir, you did.
And I had to resurrect my knowledge of algebra from 8th grade. I passed, but.
And you passed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a very knowledgeable class. It just, I don't feel that it was.
Well,
what
I'll
you're-
never use it as a commissioner.
Right. But
Right,
you
right.
understand when
Yeah, I
the
do.
engineers come to you and propose speed changes and comments, you understand how we got to
Yeah.
that, right?
Mhm.
So on there. Okay, I will go ahead and start with the awards for Road Scholar Caleb Dykes. Nice. Translators. Keegan Dickmore. Rosie Rodriguez. And then John Alger. And then James Magsaman. All right. Blake Odell. And then the next awardees have completed the road master portion of our training. What's up? Oh, John Camp. Sorry. That's my bad. I jumped it. Sorry, John. Now we'll do roadmaster. Sorry about that, sir. Jake Lewell. Andrew Johnson. Matt McDonald. Greg Woods. And then we also, as I mentioned, we have our first leadership award that goes to Jamie Russell. Again, thank you, Commission, for trusting us with training your employees. Any other questions?
Commissioner Goldthart.
Yes, I have a question of this gentleman in front of me with the WWE belt. What is this?
This roadmaster.
Too fat for the coat.
Oh, that's great. Thanks.
You want one, don't you?
Yeah, you gave me one of those, I'd wear it every week.
It might be coming your way.
Don't give him any ideas. Come on.
Thank you, Commission.
Channing, really
President.
appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank
And great job, everybody. The commission would love to take a picture with all of these awardees and in the foyer out front. So we'll step out there and do that and then come right back to the meeting.
Awesome. Thank you.
I did want to make sure I
It's one of those for fantasy football every year.
All right, we are back and we're going to move on to item number 2 on the regular agenda, which is item 255 Geotechnical Hazards Assessment Policy 7216 request for adoption. This is a public hearing, so I'll go ahead and open that and turn it over to Christy Little.
Thank you, Madam President, Commissioners. Christy Little, Development Services Manager. Before Paige gives her presentation, I just wanted to say thank you to the development and engineering community. They provided, although we didn't have a lot of feedback, the feedback we received was very thorough and very thoughtful, and I really just appreciate the community engaging with us. And then also a big thank you to Paige. Paige started her career in development services, but she's been with safety engineering for a while, and she was happy to step in and help us with this, with her geotechnical expertise. So really appreciate that she took time away from her own job to help out development services.
Thanks, Christy. Happy to help. Good afternoon, Commissioners. For the record, Paige Bankhead, Supervisor with the Safety Engineering Team. Today, I'm presenting an overview of Ordinance number 255, the Geotechnical Hazards Assessment Policy 7216, formerly known as the Hillside Policy, up for adoption. Staff presented an initial work session on November 5th, 2025, and a second work session on February 4th, 2026, and we accepted public comment throughout this period of time when we were drafting the policy. I will provide an overview on how this policy was drafted and how we plan to implement this policy. ACHD's current Hillside Ordinance Policy 7215.4 does require a geotechnical report, but it does not define what hazards must be evaluated, what the minimum scope should be, or how findings should inform design. Since we've experienced slope stability issues, settlement and water intrusions from springs affecting some of our infrastructure built with developments, we drafted a more comprehensive proactive policy. As development continues to expand into more complex terrain in Ada County, we want to clearly outline what needs to be evaluated and to provide expectations for geotechnical reports associated with new or modified ACHD infrastructure in areas of geotechnical hazards. Since geotechnical hazards can also occur outside of hillside conditions, we renamed the policy to be the Geotechnical Hazards Assessment Policy that would replace the Hillside Ordinance Policy. The new policy applies to ACHD infrastructure that will be built with new developments or redevelopment in areas where there are existing hill slopes over 25% in grade, areas with slope stability concerns including landslides or scarps, high groundwater or springs at depths that could affect roadway stability or slope stability, settlement-prone areas and/or expansive and collapsible soils. I do want to note that it's important to recognize that this policy will not apply to already approved development applications if it's adopted. We modeled the policy after policies used by similar jurisdictions and the 2020 ITD Materials Manual. This manual is widely accepted statewide as a standard reference for geotechnical investigations. The first draft was reviewed by Ryan Olson, a licensed professional geotechnical engineer with GeoEngineers. We then sent this draft for comment where developers and their geotechnical consultants provided feedback. We received 3 responses to the first draft. Developers and their consultants wanted to ensure that there were clear and concise requirements and wanted to understand expectations. We added more details to help clarify requirements and expectations, as well as including some of their recommendations into our updated policy draft. After incorporating that feedback, staff produced the second draft, which was again reviewed by Ryan Olson and was presented at the work session on February 4th. This was also sent for comment, and we received 1 response that requested clarifying language be added to our policy. Clarifying language was added to the policy, and that is the policy draft that you're seeing before you today. I do want to highlight what this policy does not do. This policy does not mandate a one-size-fits-all solution. It does not eliminate professional judgment, and it does not require over-engineering on low-risk sites. Those are not our intent. It is intended to give developers a clear understanding of expectations, give ACHD review criteria, and help us avoid preventable issues. Even though this policy might seem like a major new layer in implementation, It really will probably only come into play a handful times per year with development applications, so it's not like going to be a huge influx. It's not anticipated to be at least each year. But when it is needed, it will be an important tool for making sure projects are built safely and responsibly. So to discuss a little bit about how we intend for this policy process to work, this will mirror our traffic impact study process to account for the nuances of each development and determine the scope of the report. So before the application submittal, the applicant and their geotechnical engineer meets with ACHD to review and determine the scope of the report if there's ACHD infrastructure proposed to be located in any areas of geotechnical hazards as defined by the policy. The initial meeting may need to include staff from land use agencies and other agencies as appropriate. Next, applicants are encouraged to submit the geotechnical report to ACHD for review and acceptance prior to the development application submittal. Reports may be submitted concurrently with the application, however, they may require additional review time. It's in the best interest to get the report submitted early to allow for more efficient and complete review. And finally, the applicant's geotechnical engineer reviews the construction plans to ensure conformance with the report and will submit a statement with the construction plan submittal to ACHD. Ultimately, the goals of this policy are straightforward. The goal is to identify potential hazards earlier. It is about being proactive, not adding unnecessary hurdles. We want to provide clear expectations up front for developers through an initial meeting and continued communication, reduce emergency repairs caused by avoidable failures, and protect public investment in our roadway system. Experience shows that clarity early in the process is almost always less expensive than fixing problems later. And with that, staff recommends that the commission adopt ordinance number 255 as outlined in the staff report. I do want to note that this does require a supermajority vote, which does require 4 votes from the commission. I will now stand for any questions.
Paige, are there any questions for Paige? Commissioner McKinney?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Paige, just a quick question on this. As I'm looking at the ordinance itself, the conditions or the situations that require a geotechnical report, it seems like they all talk about conditions of where slope instability is a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any provisions otherwise that would look at geotechnical hazards in places where we don't have slope stability issues? For example, you can have groundwater issues, you can have collapsible soils, expansive soils in places where there aren't slope stability questions. Those are covered by a different section. Is that correct? Is that what's happening here?
Madam President, Commissioner McKinney, so in the first part of our policy, we do outline if based on the geotechnical engineer's preliminary review, if they do identify any areas that would include expansive soils, collapsible soils, high groundwater, we would require that a geotechnical report in accordance with this policy be submitted to ACHD. So that would be part of the investigation process for them.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we'll move on to public comment. Casey, do you have a list or? Okay, anybody here who wish to testify on this item in the public hearing? Welcome, come on down to the podium. Come on down to the podium and state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam President. Julie DiLorenzo, 3775 North La Fontana Way, Boise, Idaho. I did sign up, so I apologize. I don't know where that sheet went. There were 2 other people who'd put their name ahead of me.
Okay.
Sorry.
We'll get that list, but thank you. Thanks.
Good afternoon. Commissioners, thank you so much. Director, thank you for allowing us to present today. As I said, I am Julie DiLorenzo, and I am speaking today in my role as the Director of Community Relations for Boise Hunter Homes. So I want to make it very clear, I am not speaking today as a Director of the Board for the Idaho Transportation Department. I want to make that very clear that that is not my role today. Allow me first to express my gratitude, our gratitude to your awesome staff, all who are right here. or all that the ones that I have been spending time with. And specifically, Justin, Christie, and Paige have been incredibly helpful and diligent in working on this policy that has included many meetings and many, many questions from us, not only from our company, but from many of the builders and developers here in the Valley. Ultimately, we feel that they have proposed a policy that we can agree with and accomplishes the goals of the commission. Boise Hunter Homes is a longtime home builder here in the Valley, mostly in Ada County, and many of our developments and the homes that we build are situated on hillside properties. So this is an area that we always are concerned with. We understand this policy is needed, and we agree that these extra processes up front will prevent homes and infrastructure from sliding downhill. To be clear, our company has never had that happen, and we hope we never do. While we do understand the need, and we worked with your staff, who incorporated nearly all of our requested changes, additional regulations are burdensome to our industry, and in the end, it adds to the increased cost of housing. We would typically be opposed to policies of this nature. We did want to point out one clarification where we felt staff was uncomfortable adding to the policy, and that would be regarding the question of whether this policy can be enforced on existing preliminary plats. Justin stated that existing preliminary plats are exempt from the new policy, and it would be legally unenforceable on prior approvals, and that they weren't really comfortable adding that or couldn't add that to this new policy. However, we believe that it should be stated in the policy or clearly state a date of implementation, or at the very least noted in the Commission's resolution for approval today. And lastly, this was kind of a late question, but I think it's a good one. And that is to make it clear in the new policy if modifications to existing approved preliminary plats will be reviewed under the old policy or the new policy. So thank you, commissioners, again. Thank you, President Gold. It's always a pleasure to work with all of you. We appreciate the great partnership.
Thank you. Thanks, Julie. Did you get, nope, okay. Come on down and state your name and address for the record, and 3 minutes for you too.
Surprised them, they didn't know I was here. For the record, Dave Jorgensen, address 13965 West Chinden, Boise. And I want to issue my confidence and vote of support for this ordinance. I do have a few questions, but specifically I want to thank the staff for the process and the commission for the process which you've implemented. I have done some development in the foothills, both as a consultant and personally. And likewise, as was stated with prior testimony, I'm not aware of any problems in our developments also. In fact, I know of one situation where the soil types is such that when you do the compaction, prior to compaction, the soil is like sand. You think there's no way a house sits up here. But when it compacts, it's like granite. And it literally is a rock hill when you're done doing your compaction. And so the foothills are different. And the soils are different throughout the foothills. And so with that, I appreciate the comments by staff where you do not, as a highway district, want one-size-fits-all policy because the soils are different. The groundwaters may or may not be different. I'm sure they are. And so with that in mind, I appreciate the policy as it's written for flexibility and relying upon professional engineers, geotechnical engineers on site-specific recommendations. One of the concerns I had early on was addressing high groundwater and making sure that this policy as written did not address and apply to the entire county, because this would literally add at least 1 or more year of time to every single application as it could have been interpreted initially. So again, I thank staff for making some clarifications and to ensure that that is not the case, because that would be a huge detriment to all housing throughout all of Ada County if it was interpreted that way previously. One question I have is the effective date. I'm currently working on an application as a consultant for somebody now, and we're about ready to submit. And I don't know if this will have to start over or what they'll have to do with regard to implementation of this policy. We're not really worried about the site. However, this new ordinance may come into effect where we have to go acquire new information, have preliminary meetings, and as required by this ordinance because the policy has not yet been adopted. So if I could just get some clarity as to the effective date on this policy or this ordinance implementation, that would be greatly appreciated. There are many developments that are in process, and that it takes months, in fact, sometimes years before applications are submitted already. And so there are some who are in the process, and they will be affected by this implementation. So I appreciate that clarification. With that, again, I appreciate staff, appreciate the commission and all your efforts in trying to ensure safety in the development of the foothills. And I'll stand for any questions.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Oh,
Madam President,
Oh, sorry,
if I may.
Kenny.
So Dave, are you requesting that the effective date of the ordinance be set forward sufficient to allow things that are in process now to not be required to do that? Or would you be satisfied if it's effective today and only from this time forward, new permits or new submittals that are made, it'll be required, anything previous? Because my understanding is that that's been kind of the understanding, that if we approve this, it's effective today. Anything that was submitted or approved previously, it doesn't apply. Anything submitted or approved here on out, it would apply. What are you asking for?
Sorry, Commissioner McKinney, I think our legal counsel can give some clarity on the effective date. So not to.
I'll
put that
pause.
answer on
Sure.
you. Thank
Sure, that'd be great.
Always defer to Mr. Price.
you.
Thank you, Madam President, Commissioners, for the two questions. The effective date will be 30 days from the adoption date. That's pursuant to Idaho Code. So yeah, I mean, that's it. But the other thing, and I think Mr. Jorgensen and Mr. Hunter both know that the date of an application is the date that they are vested with the current law. So if they applied today, you adopted it today, the new ordinance would not apply, but they have 30 days to get that submitted. So the law at the time is the date of the application. And our ordinance will take effect within 30 days if you so choose to adopt it today.
Steve. All right, thanks, David. I think.
Madam President, can I answer his question?
I think the question was answered by,
Well, I guess
You were
my
asking-
question was what he requests or what he would prefer. So I guess that
Sure.
was one that we haven't gone to that, but what is your preference on that? Because of course we've heard what the standard ordinance involves.
Madam President, Commissioner McKinney, the 30 days we can work with.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, do we have anybody else present who want to testify on this ordinance? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission for discussion.
Madam President,
Commissioner Goldthorpe.
I would move that we approve the request for adoption of ordinance 255 concerning geotechnical hazards assessment policy number 7216.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Commissioner Nielsen.
Yeah, I just want to echo the compliments to staff. It's a lot to take on, and I appreciate Paige and Christy, your efforts in this. And it's only as good an ordinance as the input that we had, and so I appreciate all of those. That's why I double checked. Did we not have any comments in our packet? I appreciate the people who testified today. And I just am really curious. I would hope that people realize, and I think Mr. Jorgensen echoed it, that, and to some degree, Julie, yes, this is more regulations, but I found, particularly with hillside or areas of high groundwater, the builders who go into these sites, it saves them a lot of money. It helps them know what constraints are so that they can adequately bid a project and not get upside down, encountering an unknown, very expensive issue that they have to build around. So I'm very much in support of the motion.
Madam President?
Commissioner McKinney?
Yeah, just before we vote, just one question that was asked earlier. The question was posed by one of our speakers about what about modifications to a previously approved, and maybe that's something we need addressed.
Madam President, Commissioner McKinney, Justin Lucas, Chief of Operations and Infrastructure here at the Highway District. It's a nuanced question. Any resubmittal or new application, the policy would apply based on the 30-day deadline outlined by the legal counsel. And a time extension, though, of an approval would not, the time extension essentially vests that approval with the original approval date. So there is really no modification to a preliminary plat that I'm aware of through the city process. The process would be either you get approved, you get the time extension, and you build that project based on the original approvals, or you come through the process with a new preliminary plat. And if it is a new preliminary plat, the new ordinances and policies would apply at that time.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Well, I just want to say thank you very much to staff. This is a complex and technical thing to consider. And so I appreciate the work and the, working with the expertise and the efforts to include the development community and get all of that feedback as well. I thought you have done a really thorough job and included lots of flexibility and clarity through that process. So really appreciate it. I think it's important to have this on the books. So I'll be supporting the motion as well. All right, all those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next up is discussion items, public communications. Do we have anybody in person or online who wishes to address the commission? Okay, seeing none, meeting is adjourned. We'll move to the post-commission agenda. Before we get into post-commission agenda work session, let's take a 5-minute break. All right, thanks, everybody. We're back now to the post-commission agenda. We've got a work session, a master street map amendment, Stratford to Touchmark, new collector request, presentation by staff. Edmondson, over to you.
Good afternoon, Commission. My name is Herenzo Bautista, ACHD Senior Transportation Planner. And my role for this is mostly as an introduction, Commission. We receive it back in January. We received a letter from the City of Meridian with a request for a master street amendment. Earlier last year, ACHD staff was invited to participate in a study for the Stratford to Touchmark feasibility study. And the letter is a result of those findings. So with that, the show is for the City of Meridian to present the request. So I will give the time to Caleb Hood.
Welcome, Caleb.
Thank you, Commission President Gold, Commissioners. Edmondson, thanks for the time today, and appreciate, this is my first time in the auditorium. I was just telling Mr. Price and Commissioner Nielsen that really appreciate the opportunity. We actually took the opportunity to bring a couple of my staff that I'll introduce you here in a minute and maybe even get a little tour. But we're here today to talk to you about the master street map request. Carl Anderson actually is going to do most of the heavy lifting. Hopefully it's not too heavy, but he's going to give a lot of the details and background, but I thought I'd tee it up a little bit. We have Craig Bergman is also here from the city, and Brian McClure, who is our long-range planning supervisor. So their first time in the new digs, and again, congratulations on your new place of business. So just again, a quick background and history, and I won't go into all of the history and past efforts, but we have been trying to improve jointly, the city and working with ACHD and some of the neighborhoods in there to improve traffic flow, connectivity, and livability in this part of town for decades now. Back in 2018 and 2019, through the adoption of our current comprehensive plan, this area, we spent quite a bit of time and other resources to develop and identify land uses and utility and transportation improvements that were needed to comport with that vision of our community. So this is kind of a follow-up to that effort of 2019. So we adopted our comprehensive plan in December of 2019. This won't solve all of the issues in this section, but amending your master street map to include a new collector roadway in this area is an important step forward. Again, I want to just thank you for your time today, your staff's time, not just today, but working with us through this study and for the next steps that we have in this area too. So again, we appreciate your time today and look forward to working with you some more. Carl?
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Madam President Gold. My name is Carl Anderson, Long-Range Associate Planner with the City of Meridian. I'll be here before you today just providing some background on the project area, past efforts, provide a brief overview of this effort, the Stratford to Touchmark feasibility study. I'll cover the study area, get us oriented. I'll discuss our project goals, what we set out to accomplish, a little bit of a high level of our outcomes from that effort, and then I'll detail our request to you. So just to get us oriented here, this is a little bit of a high level, but when we set out with the project, really we were looking at the area between Locust and Eagle Road initially, but when we kicked things off, we really wanted to zoom out a little bit and look at the surrounding areas. So the whole project area is from Meridian Road to Touchmark on the east side, with the focus area being Stratford to Eagle Road. The area we're discussing here today is really about the intersection from Central and Bentley and Locust near ICOM and ISU to about Allen Street, Magic View Drive, and Freeway Drive and St. Luke's Drive, where they all kind of intersect there. And as I advance through here, we'll get a little bit more oriented there. As Deputy Director Hood mentioned, this effort was initially looked at as part of the 2019 comprehensive plan, my Meridian specific area plan summary, where the city looked at multiple areas throughout the city's comprehensive plan for a little bit of a deeper dive on the land use analysis, and also looking at potential roadway collector networks. The image you have before you here, three alternatives were presented to residents during that effort as part through some open houses and online surveys as well. Of those concepts that are identified, this concept 3 that you have here is this urban enclave concept, which was ranked the highest among respondents for a preferred concept from those efforts. Provided opportunity for slow redevelopment, opportunities for mixed-use residential and non-residential to support office and residential and commercial uses, and a new commercial center that serves locally and regionally. As part of an outcome of that effort, see if I've got a laser pointer here, and I don't know if this will work for you here, but a good portion of the area was amended on the city's future land use map to be mixed-use neighborhood, with a little bit of a commercial node on the west side along Locust Grove, with commercial and limited office on the east side near Eagle. Since that time, the city undertook efforts with the Stratford to Touchmark project in 2025, with the project goals to develop a realistic and coordinated approach to improving transportation connectivity within this key area of the city. The primary goals were to reduce pressure on the arterial network and cut through traffic on local roads, improve emergency response times, enhance quality of life, and support continued economic development, including future water and sewer extensions needed to address public health and environmental considerations as development occurs. So within the area, we do have 2 county enclaves there that are largely on well and septic as well. And part of another key goal of the project was to look at how we can better connect the education and med center opportunities near St. Luke's and at St. Luke's and Eagle, and better connect those as sort of a med tech connectivity, looking at better connecting those nodes there. So the project kicked off in July of 2025. The city selected Kilson and Associates with Logan Simpson to conduct the work. The project was broken out into multiple tasks with plan review and transportation systems inventory and land use analysis conducting a bulk of the work. Stakeholder outreach through stakeholder meetings were conducted, and the primary deliverables there being the concept development, white paper, and technical memorandum that you have in your packet. The project wrapped up in January of 2026, and the findings were presented to City Council on January 27th, during which Council directed staff to continue to prioritize Concept D, as identified in the technical memorandum, with continued consideration given towards Concept D there. That's the freeway frontage backage road alignment that you have there in your packet as well. So as part of the stakeholder work, during which we conducted 5 stakeholder meetings with our partners within the area and partners with interest in the area as well. So again, thank you to ACHD and your staff for participating in those efforts as well. We also met with ISU, ICOM, West Ada School District, St. Luke's, ITD, and city staff as part of those efforts. A few of the things that were identified there were also informed by the past comprehensive plan work as well. So known challenges within the area being circuitous routing to Meridian Road, aging well and septic systems, cut through traffic on Woodridge Drive, long queuing lines for Eagle Road on-ramp, and so forth. Our consultant further identified potential alignments within the area. So they began by identifying 5 potential concepts and then carried 3 of those concepts further for further evaluation, which are all shown here on the map here. They're overlaid with one another almost with a transit routing system concept that you'll see here, where some of those routes are shared and would require similar improvements, but it's looking at the whole reach, if you will. Concept C is the central line here. It's along Cadillac, it's the northmost, and you'll see kind of 2 dotted lines looking at 5 Mile Creek, where you have 2 alternatives that move it either north or south of the creek there. Concept D, comprehensive plan alignment, is this brownish gold line that you'll see, which provides the more direct route there, which comes in just south of 5 Mile Creek, connecting to Wells and north of Wells Circle. And I'll draw your attention to that because we'll talk about that portion here a little bit as we advance through our slides. And concept E, which is this I-84 frontage, moving south along I-84, you'll see a few spurs, if you will, which are to illustrate potential alignments there as well. So not necessarily looking at proposing all of those as one, but it could be one of those alignments there. So as previously mentioned during our work session with City Council on January 27th, staff ranked based on the comparative analysis from the white paper, as well as the past work from the comprehensive plan, or prioritized the concepts in the order of D, E, and C. During council's work session, council directed staff to continue pursuing concept D with considerations for what does preservation for E look like in the future 20, 30 years from now. We are here before you to request an amendment to the master street map for collector roadway for a portion of the study area, as previously mentioned, generally following concept D. During council work session, it was discussed potentially looking at an alignment coming in north of the hotel at the intersection of Freeway Drive and Wells Street, kind of near Wells Circle on the east side of Wells there. And I have a slide here that I'll detail what that potential alignment may look like following that feedback. When reviewing the comparative analysis, though, concept D provided the most opportunity for transportation and redevelopment, and it was about middle of the pack when it comes to feasibility when looking at potential needed new roadway. And I do have a slide at the end of our packet that I could pull that comparative analysis up for you as well. Provides the most direct east-west connection between Central Drive and Wells Street, provides greater opportunity for large-scale redevelopment through parcel assembly. And again, as mentioned, greater construction challenges when compared to concept D due to the need for roadway construction. So,
Commissioner
A little bit
Goldberg.
of a difficult time hearing you.
thank you, Commissioner Goldthrope. I will do my best to speak up. So our request here before you, you'll see the line doesn't necessarily show up super well, but it is underlined with a gray buffer there. So again, beginning at Locust, Central, and Bentley Drive on the western portion, and then where it intersects with Magic View Drive, Allen Street, St. Luke's Drive, and moving to Freeway Drive is the collector alignments. And as previously mentioned, the one area where this generally follows concept D, the one area where it does diverge from that a little bit is when you get to Wells Street, moving to Freeway Drive, trying to make that alignment more direct. So trying to deal with the kink that you'll see along Freeway Drive and where it connects to Wells Circle. Really focused on providing a desirable route for motorists moving through the area and make that enticing. This is not, this is not an engineered line. It's understood that as development occurs, that the alignment and evaluation and engineering would occur as part of the redevelopment. But this is based on the work that was part of the study and what we think we heard from council and some of our internal staff discussions may accomplish the goals of our project here.
Madam President.
Commissioner McKinney.
Carl, can I ask you a quick questions? Yeah, here's a question for you. It looks like then concept C primarily connected to and then essentially converted Cadillac Drive into a collector. So an existing residential street would become this collector connection. Is that accurate? And then concept D, which we're looking at here, that also, to a lesser extent, but also takes some portions of existing residential streets and converts them into portions of this collector road. And then concept E, it looks like, has the lowest proportion of that. But is that a fair assessment of what these different concepts are? That concept E would essentially be creating mostly new road to serve this function, whereas C and D rely on larger portions of existing roads to then be converted into these collectors. Is that accurate?
Yes, thank you, Madam President, Commissioner McKinney. I would say generally, I don't have the tables. There are tables within the technical memorandum that do kind of summarize what some of those impacts would be and need for new roadway along there and need for new right-of-way acquisition. Cadillac Drive, from memory, generally is converted more into a collector route. You are correct for concept C. When looking at the comparative analysis, when looking at potential for redevelopment, understanding that this would likely occur through market-driven redevelopment, concept D does provide more of a through approach, which scored higher for redevelopment potential and transportation as a more direct route. Concept E would be largely new right-of-way, which don't have the concept I do have the concept E here in my slide, which also generally follows, it connects in when you're at Wells Circle. That solid line here is that existing right of way, and then the dotted line represents need for new roadway there. So yes, a concept E would be largely new roadway as well.
So then would it also be accurate to say that concept E would involve obtaining more right-of-way than the other concepts? That is to say that since the other concepts do more of using existing streets, existing right-of-way, concept E involves the most right-of-way acquisition. But in all of them, it would seem that acquiring existing residential properties is going to be needed in any case, or at least portions of them, to do any of these concepts. Is that accurate?
Madam President, Commissioner McKinney, I believe that's a fair assessment. At some point, parcel assembly through redevelopment would be needed for any new collector roadway through here, and may require the acquisition of certain residential properties through those areas where the roadway is developed at that time.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Goldthorpe?
Yeah, this area for concept D, has the zoning been redone for that yet?
Madam President, Commissioner Goldthorpe, the zoning, to my knowledge, has not been redone. The area if you'll see on your exhibit here where that one is, that's currently within Ada County and not within City of Meridian limits. So that's a county enclave within the city. The future land use map has been updated. And if you look at...
But that wasn't my question.
Oh.
Whether it's the city or the county, has that zoning along that corridor been redone?
Commissioner Goldthorpe, the zoning, to my knowledge, has not been redone with Ada County. The future land use map within the City of Meridian has been amended to reflect a mixed-use neighborhood through that area.
I've got a few others, if that's okay. Yeah, the cut through traffic you had mentioned, I don't know where that originates from and goes through presently, but because it's been a few years since we heard anything about that. But what concerns do you have for cut through traffic being, I mean, there's only, if you go from Eagle Road clear over to Locust Grove, there'll be, once you make a right turn, there'll be one light. If you go over to Overland and over to Locust Grove, there's at least 5. And I think people will figure that out very quickly and possibly even turn that new collector into a drag strip. What kind of consideration has the city given this?
Madam President, Commissioner Goldthorpe, consideration...
It's Goldthorpe.
Goldthorpe, I apologize. Thank you. Consideration given towards the drag strip of a potential collector roadway through here. So as part of the intent here, as I mentioned earlier, was to reduce pressure on our arterial network and reduce some of the cut through traffic that we at the city hear about in the Magic View Woodbridge neighborhood, which is just north here along Magic View Drive.
Yeah, I use it all the time to get to a couple of medical facilities.
Sure. And so that's one area where we do hear about some of that, with that, my understanding that being a local roadway network largely through there. The intent is to redirect that traffic and provide the traffic through a collector roadway and alleviate some of the pressures on the surrounding arterials there. I don't know if that answers your question in its entirety.
What kind of development or redevelopment that you have considered slow redevelopment do you see happening along Corridor D, where number 1 is?
Yes, so that area on our future land use map, again, largely it's mixed use neighborhoods. So it's some commercial, smaller scale commercial and office space with some residential use. That's what our city's comprehensive plan and future land use map identify that area for. We don't have, to my knowledge, anyone coming there currently to redevelop the portions there that aren't in this blue hatched area. The red near the intersection of Locust and Central is commercial, and the northern portion of that is, I believe, it's medium density residential. So it would be residential, sort of buffering that existing neighborhood to the north a little bit from that potential for mixed use
Would you
redevelopment.
consider that the new collector there, where number 1 is, be built as a function of the slow development, or would that collector need to be built before, so that it would be like, if you build it, they will come? It would make the land more valuable for that redevelopment. Which scenario do you see?
The intention and the understanding of this is that it would be largely driven through market redevelopment as development occurs with the area.
So the collector would maybe be developed in little pieces over time instead of the whole thing at once?
That's my understanding of how that would occur through this area, with the hope that with this being on the master street map, that as development occurs, the city is able to ensure that we're getting the roadway and the needed alignment through that area. And harkening back to some of the work that was done through the comprehensive plan, with some of the land use work, with that designation for mixed use neighborhood, really hoping to facilitate the potential for parcel assembly should it redevelop in the future.
Would you see that new collector being built as a condition of the development, or something that the highway district would do?
My understanding is that would be done with development.
Okay. Have you had any feedback from the neighbors yet?
Not as part of this effort currently.
Okay, thank you.
Madam President.
Commissioner Pickering.
Thanks, Carl. Commissioner Goldthorpe, you asked like half of the questions that I had, so appreciate you with that. It took me a while to dissect this map in particular. Could you go back to the different ratings of the 3 different options with the bubbles? So I was just curious, what I'm gathering from this is just that initial first step, right, to evaluate the different options, the feasibility, but I'm wondering what kind of, building off of Commissioner Goldthorpe's last question, is, and if it's being driven by development and not by ACHD, which that's helpful to know. I guess I'm just wondering about the impact to the neighborhoods. There's sections that it does go through, those established neighborhoods, versus that mixed use portion. And because I think that paints a really heavy brush as it relates to these different rankings in my mind. So I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit more about how you guys are navigating the impacts, regardless of which treatment option.
Yes, thank you. So when our project was originally scoped, we had anticipated a level of outreach to occur digitally through digital outreach for some of this. Part of this being with the intent to update the master street map to guide future development in the area to ensure that we're getting that concept there. We're wanting to ensure that when it's because the city is not building the roadway, and we're not anticipating that ACHD would build the roadway, but as development occurs is when the roadway would be built. And so this efforts is intended to build upon some of that past outreach that was done through the comprehensive plan. And as development occur, as it goes through the public hearing process and so forth, there'll be opportunity to continue to provide comment there as well. And certainly, I think the city is amenable to doing further outreach and efforts in the area.
Do you mind if I just build off that point right that you just made? So I think like one thing that's heavy in my mind, and this isn't in my district, but it's actually in Commissioner Nilsson's district. There was a a dead end street that eventually was going to be connecting through a piece of property. And the neighborhood had grown accustomed to the use, and that was also a mix. There's a hotel and all sorts of stuff on that property, and folks got really upset and came to us about how we can stop this. So I think just like there is some delicacy around, if it is you guys, that's great, but how can the public understand who to go to when they do have those concerns? Throughout the process or even after it's done at some point, because I think like that's been a thing that we've seen when development has taken ownership over the expansion of some of those roads and made those connections, which we support, but there's still those impacts. So maybe just like a comment there, but I see Caleb, you have something to say maybe.
Thank you, Commissioner President, Commissioner Pickering. Just to build on that a little bit, the premise of this, and we want to be on the same page with the Highway District, and we can certainly address those questions and concerns from residents as this happens through redevelopment over time. But that is the premise here, that it's redevelopment. So a lot of that neighborhood in particular is not going to be the same neighborhood you see today. It is a county enclave that the vision for the city, again, we're not kicking anyone out, but over time, it will transition to something not like it is today. There will be change, and we need to be in lockstep on. We need another roadway through here. This won't be your own personal signal at Locust Grove for your subdivision. This connection needs to happen. So that's one of the reasons we're here today, is to get on your master street map. We can work with Mindy and her team as development comes in to, again, be in lockstep and say, yeah, we need additional connection points in this neighborhood, not through Woodbridge as the only point to get back and forth between Eagle and Locust Grove. So if you have questions or concerns about that, I think Mr. Anderson did a good job. We'll reach out to those neighbors, and as redevelopment occurs too, we have a public hearing process that will also, engage those neighbors as pieces of this collector are built over time. But that is one of the main reasons that, again, we're here today, so we can disclose there's a roadway through here that we really want to see, and that we're not predetermining the outcome necessarily, but that is the vision that a collector roadway is needed in this area. So hopefully that
Madam
helps.
President, I have a few more if you don't mind. Caleb, I really appreciate that, because I think I understand the vision and the importance of this adjustment and getting something on the master street map. So I'm totally in support and you guys coming to us and updating that. I think what the challenge that I've seen is, even though you guys have that well-defined process, there still can be challenges. And so I appreciate your point about being in lockstep, because that can prevent certain challenges that we can avoid. But I'm just flagging that for you all, because this is going to be a little bit of a shift. And I've received, even though this isn't my district, but it's adjacent to mine, I've gotten a ton of emails about Woodbridge. So I'm very, very familiar with the challenges that you guys are facing, and I applaud you for trying to fix it. I think this is a great idea. So I guess my last question is, and maybe this is even for our staff too, you have 3 different options. What other information are you gathering to then come with a preferred option? Or are we going to have our staff work together on what that preferred option is? I guess I'm just trying to get a sense of what are those next steps.
Madam President, Commissioner Pickering. So we do have a preferred.
Okay.
It is concept D with an even longer term vision for a frontage backage road that would require quite a bit of right of way. And not just in this section, but all the way over to Meridian Road. There's some similarities even in the next mile between Locust Grove and Meridian, and only having one way in front of the admin building for West Ada School District and ICOM. That's the only way between there and Franklin as well. So there's even a longer term vision where we'd like to continue to work with your staff on preservation of what's concept E. But our request today is concept D to add that. That is the preferred alignment, sort of as amended. We've already had some conversations with your staff on that. And again, Mr. Anderson kind of mentioned, bringing that in at Freeway Drive and an intersection. And again, this isn't a blueprint. It's not an engineered document. It's a general location for these things. So there will be ongoing And your master street map is that too. It's a general alignment. So there, it can flex but the concept is get A to B, let's get there as directly as feasible. So that is our request, is that it's concept D, and continue to work again with the development community and amongst agency staff to review those projects as they come in this area.
Ryan, did you have something?
Madam President, Commission, just to take a little bit step forward further on this. Anytime there's a dashed line, especially a dashed collector, on our master street map, we see that as an indication of a connection. The actual specific alignment, the exact location of that, we work through development. So for us, really, it's just what we would be accepting is that the city wants to see a roadway connection in this area. And then as development occurs, then we would figure that out. We say one individual parcel, one of those houses redevelops and the line goes straight across that. We're going to work with people. That's not the intent is not to encumber each of those parcels and say, this is exactly where it's going to be. It's general location, and we work through the development process to actually figure out final.
Commissioner Nelson.
Hi, Carl. Thanks. A couple questions and then just a comment. So when the city evaluated transportation, did you do model runs of adding this segment in and seeing what estimated traffic would be, or future traffic? Just curious if that was within the collector range of average daily traffic.
Thank you, Commissioner. So again, just kind of the line on the map being a planning tool, I don't believe that our consultant did conduct the model runs for this effort.
I was just suggesting that might be a good scenario to run, because I've really cut through there before. So there's a lot of, I'm just curious of just measuring that, I think would be good information when this comes back to the commission. And then second, the line on the map is one thing, but the real beauty of the master street map is the typologies. And the issue that Commissioner Pickering referenced is at its core was a commercial collector dumping into a local residential street. And so where you have those hard edges, and I've talked to Justin, I don't think we really have many in Ada County. We were kind of, but so that's the something that I haven't seen in the information we were provided. And is that something, my opinion, personal opinion, is the city should take a crack at articulating what they want those cross sections to be. I think ACHD provides a good menu, but that would be part of the official request that we would act on is with the street typology. So have you looked at those or?
Absolutely. And I think that's a fair point. And that's something that we can look at further through discussions with ACHD staff as well.
Yeah, I think that would be, that's the fun part, yeah, to me anyway. And then the other thing with the enclave of the county, with the changes in the area of impact, how do we make sure that Ada County adopts or recognizes this change, I guess, particularly as it relates to Meridian's comprehensive plan? Maybe I'm thinking too far out, but
and Commissioner, that's a good consideration. Frankly, it's not one that I've given consideration towards for this component. My specific Meridian area plan, that documentation, that work is adopted in the appendices of the city's 2019 comprehensive plan.
Right.
So some of that is in there. I think potentially as we move forward to any other land use work or adopting this within the city's plan, I think then at that point it may be prudent to approach the county to ensure that it's adopted.
Yeah, and one more is, I guess, probably like Boise, any redevelopment would have to hook on to city sewer, and that you would expect an annexation, that those properties would be annexed at that time. Is that?
I think that's a fair under the city's current
Okay.
practice. I believe there may be a vestigial practice where there's, I believe, one property within that county enclave that is, I believe, on city sewer or city water. I don't remember which. Through agreements that at such time that they would annex when appropriate.
And I think the typologies to get to Commissioner Pickering's concern, those would be really good to ask the public what they'd like to see, give some choices there. And because I look at Justin, I don't think ours is hard and fast. It's all a guide. But if there was a customization of that, then that would be good to know when we adopt the master street map, if there is a reference to a particular cross section. So,
Absolutely.
all right, thank you. Thanks.
Any other questions from the commission? All right, great questions, everybody. I don't have anything additional. Appreciate you and the city, Carl and Caleb, both for being here and helping to
Craig
provide
and
some
Brian back
additional
there.
insight on this. Edmondson, you have something to?
Madam President, yes, so I wanted to close this presentation with just letting you know that our goal as part of this amendment is to bring back this item the following week, so March 11th, with a master stream amendment request for the commission to consider the approval of the amendment and then proceed to make that modification in our documents.
All right. Thank you, Edmondson. So we'll see this item on next week's agenda for consideration. And again, thanks for being here and for the information. And that's the last item on today's agenda. So we'll see everybody back next week.